Started.
Bandy TTS. Okay. Let's see. Well, how about e4, e5? Play a traditional opening. Oh, the king's gambit. Always fun. Let's take it. And the bishop's opening. Yeah, I'm not so familiar with this. See, you can check immediately with the queen. A funny line. Let's see if I can play somewhat conservatively with d6 here and knight to f6. See if that works. I don't know the lines here, like I said. This queen check line is useful. There's some traps there, but I mean it's interesting because there's some traps there. But if your opponent is familiar with it, then it's not supposed to be all that great. I want to keep the knight from coming into d5, so this c6 move is often played. You know, I've played too slowly because a lot of times you can get this d7 to d5 pawn push in one move, and I've taken 2 moves to get there. Okay, but I don't think I'm dead yet, so let's just castle and play this position. And he castles too. Okay, so everybody got their king out of the center. Let's develop the bishop and pin the knight. I want to play the move d5 at some point. I'm just wondering when's the right time. d5 now, pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes. I can take it away. I have to worry about d5, e5. Take the bishop, he takes the knight. I guess that's okay. Let's go ahead and get d5 in here. Yeah, he unpinned his knight immediately, which is probably not a bad idea. And if I take the knight, he just takes back with the rook. So this exchange of bishop for knight is not accomplishing much. Okay, so now I do have to worry that this becomes a weak pawn. This might become a weak pawn. Let's develop this knight. I can drop the bishop back to e6 to defend that pawn. I can actually go after this bishop. Okay, so he made a space for his bishop. So he's wasted some time too with those moves. That's a good way to proceed here. Knight to knight e4. He takes it, or he takes the pawn. How about this knight? Bring this knight to c4. Shields that pawn from the bishop, and I can get it there with tempo because he probably does not want to trade off that bishop, so he will move. Yep. And then we'll see if he wants to give up his bishop for the knight. He does. Okay, so that gives him a passed pawn. But, well, it's still the middle game. It's not the end game yet. And this pawn is now a little easier to defend. I can get in a6 and b5, defending the c pawn. And maybe I can even plunk a knight onto d5 there. That would be a nice looking knight. Of course, he can trade it off. Okay, he's just piling up on that behind his d-pawn. Can I ever get a knight to e4? This knight is pinned again. I wonder if there's a way to exploit that. Not so easy. Or activating the bishops. I think maybe I should just trade off one knight. and get this bishop to f6. That's my one advantage. Well, one of my advantages is I have the bishop pair. So I should find a way to make use of it. And the queen went there. I'm not sure what his plan is. Is he planning to chase my queen away? Okay, I'm going to develop my bishop to f6, like I said, pile up on his pawn. I can play b5 to defend the c pawn. I can also put my rook behind it. He does that. So what happens if I take everything? I take his bishop. I take his knight. If I take his bishop, he's taking back with the pawn, because if he takes back with the knight, then I'll take the rook. So bishop takes, pawn takes, and then he's got an isolated pawn, and I have to find a square for my queen. His knight maybe can come in and harass my queen, but say queen to e6, knight g5, and queen back to e7. Or queen e6, rook d6 is possible too. It's kind of curious. Is there some other move? My c pawn becomes weak in those lines. I was not liking that. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Maybe the queen goes over here to hold on to the c pawn. Oh, and I have a check. Okay, I will hold on to the c pawn with this check.
Check.
Then rook e8 threatens bishop takes knight and pawn, rook takes pawn. Not so much of a threat here. Let's just securely defend that b pawn. Before I try and round up his e pawn. Securely defend my c pawn, I mean. Yeah, so he places his rook behind it. But still, I can pile up, right? Rook to e8 and then rook up to e6. Anything wrong with that? When I'm fighting against the isolated pawn, you should look to trade pieces. He's just liberated his knight. Should I take it now? Let's take the knight. The problem with the knight was that it sort of prevented me from playing rook to e6. Yeah, he's hitting my rook over in the corner. Let's not forget that. Okay, let's bring the rook over here. Okay, trades off one pair of rooks. So getting closer to an endgame. And he gives his king some luft so he doesn't get caught in a back rank mate. He may be thinking of mating me himself. There is a back rank mate here for me as well. Okay, he wants to go all the way into the endgame. So isn't this just winning the pawn? Maybe not. The idea is you lift the rook up and then you play pawn to f6, and you're just going to take it, right? Because his rook is unprotected. He doesn't have a good way to protect that rook. So yeah, I almost played f6 right away, but then he can push on, and that's not clear because my king can't easily get in to attack that pawn when it's on f6. But I think this is the right way to do it. Rook e6 and then f6. And it's a good square for that rook anyway. I can play pawn to a6 here and defend these pawns. Okay, so what's he going to do? He's going to, well, he's not giving up the pawn because there is a mate threat. Oh, but I can take his rook. That's a typical kind of thing I can overlook.
White resigns.
But, well, that's an interesting game. I'll check out the ending in the postmortem, see if I still had winning chances if he played better. But I thought I did. I thought I was in good shape in that ending. Okay, I will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.